still traditional vocabulary learning. Please welcome.
Dibacakan. I think
Okay, take your time. Still have 1 minute to go.
um, tadi kan tutup bilang. Tadi ditutup. Kamu buka lagi kan? Oh. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Okay. I'm a linguist myself, and I love to learn new language. And there are few phrases in Japanese that I've taken, and I want to try to introduce myself in Japanese because we're in Japan. Okay. Konnichiwa minasan. Watashi no namae wa Galang Tirta Yudha. Indonesiaからで来ました。ありがとう。おはよう。インドネシアに来ました。よろしくお願いします。Okay. So, my name is Galang Tirta Yudha. I came from Indonesia, and it is an honor to be able to present here in Japan. Indonesia, if you are not familiar with that, is kind of an island language, and because of that nature of the country, we have various kind of language in each part of region of Indonesia. Not that different, but many different. Not that different, but unique enough to be a new language. And I myself is actually a trilinguist. I speak three languages. First is my mother tongue, which is Japanese. I speak with all my families and my relatives using that language. And then when I go to school and various formality stuff, I'm using our national language, which is Bahasa Indonesia. And then now I am concentrating and I'm trying to learn the new language, which is Bahasa Inggris or English. So you can say that I'm not a stranger in terms of learning a new language. So first, I want to thank you, and I want to express my gratitude to be able to present here. Arigatou gozaimasu. Terima kasih. Matur nuwun. The three are the same thing in three different languages. Okay, I talk about my originality. I came from Indonesia. I spoke many languages, and there are one story that I often use to start my class in language learning. This is a simple story regarding two different people. One is Sundanese, one is Japanese. Sundanese is one of ethnicity in Indonesia, and another one is Japanese, which is another ethnicity in Indonesia. They are quite similar in terms of grammar, in terms of structure, etc. They are similar enough. However, there are various things that is different between each language that make them, completely different. One of them is vocabulary. And in this anecdote, I will tell you how important vocabulary is. First, let's imagine there are two people. One is Sundanese and one is Japanese. Both of them are working in a construction site. Both of them are construction worker. The Sundanese wants to instruct the Japanese guy to take a bucket. A simple request, right? Take a bucket. A simple request. So he said, Kang embernya cokot, which translates to quite simply, bro, please take the bucket. See, cokot here, Kang means bro, embernya means bucket, while cokot means take in Sundanese language. However, in Japanese language, cokot means a complete different word. It means to bite. So can you imagine what does Japanese think? What the Japanese guy think the Sundanese want him to do? So he thinks that he wants the Sundanese guy wants him to bite the bucket. So he said, bite the bucket. See, it's the same word, however, the meaning is different. Thus, the meaning is that the whole composition does not rhyme the same, and thus Sundanese think that the thing that is matter is just hurting. Maybe the Japanese guy doesn't hurt him quite right, so he emphasizes that. Oh, embernya dicokot, the bucket. Yeah, take the bucket. Just to emphasize that. However, the Japanese guy doesn't want to buy the bucket. Obviously, I don't want to buy the bucket. So you know what he said? He said, if I want to buy the bucket, it is hard. The bucket is hard. I don't want to buy that. So he said, embernya atas dicopot. Embernya atas dicopot, which means, hold on. I'm sorry. I think, which means the bucket is hard to buy. This is irony on top of irony. Atos in Japanese means hard to buy, while in Sundanese, atos means done. It is done. Thus, in Sundanese perspective, when the Japanese guy is talking, is the bucket is taken. It's simple thing, simple conversation with simple goal, but completely ruined because the lack of vocabulary awareness. So from this simple anecdote, we can understand how important vocabulary is. Both of these language share the same grammar structure, share the same syntax, same the same language, share the same uh, syntax, semantic, etc. They're the same. However, different vocabulary means different means. Thus, however, from this little anecdote, we can understand the importance of vocabulary. Vocabulary is the building block of a language. Without proper vocabulary awareness, someone cannot talk in any language at all. Especially in this case, where I'm teaching English. And the problem is traditional vocabulary learning in Indonesia, although visualized using some kind of flashcard, some kind of media, etc., it's quite boring. It's quite boring, and it's shown in the literature, in the research that students are quite bored and quite disengaged in the class when they are teach using traditional method like flashcard, etc. Although it is already out visual, flashcard, visual, something, etc. Traditional don't fail to engage students, and I'm sorry, traditional method often fail to engage students. So, and there are another argument to be made that, well, language learning is kind of girly things. This is a proposal that is proposed by Miss Barbara in her research, that language is a girly thing, right? And they found that, well, actually, males and females learning language in different speed, in different approach. It is new to me, and I want to learn more deeper into that part, and I incorporated that into my research. And we came to this two problem. Traditional method often fail to engage students, and there are arguments that genders play a role in vocabulary acquisition. Thus, I imagine some what ifs scenario. what ifs, we can use technology, we can use computer, we can use internet to enhance this boring and boring stuff in learning vocabulary. And that's but that technology must be using the same kind of learning method, which is visually, like because we use flashcard. I want to use something that is resemble flashcard, and thus we choose Rosetta Stone. Can Rosetta Stone boost vocabulary learning? It is some kind of application, some kind of service that is, if you know Duolingo, you know Duolingo. It's kind of Duolingo, but more visually. There are a lot more picture provided compared to Duolingo. Thus, I think it fits my what if scenario. And then the second question is, does gender play a role in its effectiveness? So yeah, let's go to my research setup, my research method. First, I will go into school. I will go into school. I went into school in Bandar Lampung, and I found that there are two classes here, class A and class B. Class A, I will assign Rosetta Stone, and the class B, I will assign a teacher that is teaching using traditional flashcard. Simple experiment. One using Rosetta Stone, the new method. One using traditional flashcard. And then upon 1 month of research, I will gather the result. Thus, beforehand, before I employ my research, I will get I will get the baseline score of both class. Thus, before the experiment and after the experiment, and I will compare this to whether the Rosetta Stone actually learn faster, or actually there is no difference at all between Rosetta Stone or traditional learning method. This class comprised of 58 students with similar male to female ratio, 14 to 4, which is 58. So each class is 28 and 28, and each classes comprise of same male to female ratio, 14 to 14 and 13 to 15. So they are quite similar. And yeah, let's go to the result. From the result, let's see. From this box plot alone, we can see that. Well, the first thing that I want you to notice is that both groups are learning. You know, this is the pre-test, pre-experimental result, and this is the post-experimental result. We can see that there is learning that is happening here. We will not expect our student to come to class and not learn anything, right? So this is good. Both of the class are learning. However, we can see that in control group, which is using traditional, which is using traditional flashcard method, does not quite gain a bigger score. They are moving to different tier, but they are quite similar. And some of the students are stuck in the same place. 60, 60, 50, around 50, and 60. They're quite similar. However, when we look at our experimental group, which is students that are learning using experimental group, we can see that the mean of the group is increasing. From the lower part of 70, they are increased to the middle part of 70, around 75. And some students are actually gaining a lot more compared to the other. So yeah, we can see that from this box alone, without any kind of statistic paralysis, we can see that there are increase to be seen here. And from this graph, you can see that these are not quite a normal distribution of data. Thus, we were using Sapiro wheels to determine the exact statistic of these two methods, and we found that, well, yeah, students using Rosetta showed significantly greater vocabulary gains than those using traditional flashcards, with p-value around 0.0001, quite a large significant. And I think that's the first question answered, right? So Rosetta Stone can boost language acquisition in vocabulary learning. And let's move to the second question. The argument was male and female learning at different speeds. However, from our result, you can see that, well, they're essentially the same. They're essentially the same. There are quite differences here and there. Females and males, they are quite different. There are quite different to be made. Like females gain higher score in pre-test, while males gain higher score in post-test. However, the differences does not strong enough to be able to, we make a conclusion that, well, males learning faster compared to females. There is no data that shows here that indicated that. Thus, and if you are interested in more statistically thing, the p-value between two students overall is 0.71, far above the significant level of difference, which is 0.01. What does it mean? Again, the implication is that technology is the future of language learning. Technology is the future of language learning. Sure, using flashcard works. It works fine, good. However, from our little experiment, we can see that using technology, however simple as that, can actually enhances really significantly in terms of student vocabulary learning speed. And then gender does not play a significant role in vocabulary learning. Yeah, so I think we can agree with that. And then again, remember my result that some student actually gain a lot more higher, gain 100% score in the post experimental group. They gain 100 points, which means there is an argument to be made here that, well, probably some students are actually more engaged during during technologization, while probably some of the others does not actually quite have the same benefit, etc. So I propose that personalized based learning is important. Maybe we can use this kind of method to one part of student and another kind of method to other students. It is hard to do, but I think it is the key moving forward because, well, because in the previous day, I learned a lot about personalized based learning. It was not personalized based learning, but some kind of differentiated instruction where each student gains different kind of instruction compared to the others, and I think that would benefit students greatly in here. And yeah, however, I will not say that technology will replace teacher, but teacher that is not using technology will be replaced by those who do. And the limitation of this study is that small sample size. The sample size is quite small. It's only around 58, and the data were not normal, so I cannot generalize the result of my data on my research, and I can only say that in that very specific school, there is no difference between male and female, and Rosetta actually enhance vocabulary learning. And I am only doing the experiment for about 1 month, for 4 weeks. So longitudinal study needs to be done here to see whether or not this kind of technology actually helps student in the long run, and whether or not this kind of vocabulary learning sticks to them. And yep. Require molecular student allocated in all. Oke. Arigatou gozaimasu. Terima kasih banyak. And probably the last part, I want to thank Indonesian Endowment Fund of Education from the Ministry of Finance of Republic of Indonesia for granting me the scholarship and the ability to be able to present here. This is my contact. My name is Galang Tirta. If there is any question, you may ask.
Me. Okay, Mr. Galang Tirta Yudha, that's very interesting presentation. I agree that vocabulary is one of the most important thing in language learning, right? So, my question is, first, I want to ask, or maybe you can elaborate about the instrument that you used in this research, because I don't know if I missed that or.
Oh yeah. It's actually I was about to include that in this presentation. However, due to the time concern, I cannot provide that. However, I want to assure you that the instrument were rigorously tested, and the Cronbach alpha were 0.75, and I think that is enough to be able to, as a baseline to take the data.
Is it cognitive test or essays or what?
It is cognitive test. It is SI. No, it is not SI. I mean, it is close-ended question. A, B, C, D.
Multiple choice.
Multiple choices. It is close-ended question.
Okay. My second question is about the teacher's role for each class, experimental and control group.
Yeah, both of the classes were using. Both of the classes were taught by the same teacher.
And what is the different? A teacher's role different in that two class.
Rules?
Like in traditional, what is the teacher's role in that
Oh,
class and
yeah.
in the what resonant stone?
Yeah,
And the
resonant
teacher
stone.
use
Yeah,
the
yeah.
technology.
The teachers in the traditional in the traditional class, they were using flashcard, to using traditional method of learning, which is probably I will imagine like this. Uh, this is let's imagine this as a flashcard, and then when the when the vocabulary arrive, the teacher will raise this flashcard, and the student will say the name of the thing that is written in the flashcard, that kind of stuff. Using traditional. However, in the Rosetta Stone, the teacher guided the students to use Rosetta Stone to not probably to answer the question there, to engage in the material in the Rosetta Stone. So it's quite different. Rosetta Stone is kind of, if you ever learn using Duolingo, it's quite similar.
Okay, I think this is my last question. Actually, I'm not came from the language learning background, since I came from physics education background. So, but I'm curious that if I say it like this, what if I say it like this? It's about vocabulary, right? So, the most important thing is just memorize the vocabulary, and you can menguasai
No.
apa?
Memorizing is one thing, putting that in a context is another. Putting that in a context is another. And I think Rosetta Stone, is it? I think Rosetta Stone helps in that regard, because using flashcard, as I mentioned before, using flashcard, when that word came up, students talk about the thing that is written in the flashcard. That's putting a context in that vocabulary, the same as Rosetta Stone, because we want to put a context. For example, this building is blah 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 blah. We want the student to say big. So big relates to, building, means that it's huge, something that is big. Vocabulary is one thing. Understanding meaning of vocabulary, it will be quite different if we want the student to understand big in another kind another kind of vocabulary, because those vocabulary may not exist in that context.
Mm.
Is it clear enough?
Yes, very clear. Thank you.
Yeah, this is just a follow-up question for her first question. Um, did you use the same teacher for the control and experimental group, or you used different teachers?
Oh no. Probably if I say teacher, it's quite misleading, because the teacher's role here, we are a team. We are a team of four, and one of the theme is actually the one that is taking the data, that is goes to the school and teach the students using the material that were prepared by the teacher, and then another class using plaster and stone. So the teachers in that, in if you mean the teachers as the previous teacher that is currently teaching in that class, they are only
No. I just did you use, like, for example, the control group, or the teacher in the control group is different from the teacher in the
No.
experimental group?
they're the same.
It's the same.
They're the same.
Because I'm just into the impact of the teacher's way of instructing the teacher, and it might be the one that has an effect,
Oh, yeah.
the actual effect to the difference between the scores of the students, and not actually the instructional pedagogy that you are introducing.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just trying to clear that out. So
Yeah, probably I should put that in
Yeah.
my.
So at least it's clear now that you use
Yeah.
the same teacher for both the control and experimental group.
Both experimental group and control group were taught by the same teacher,
Yes.
which is our researcher.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.